And we're back with another episode of What's Hockey. It's going to be a little bit different today because this upcoming week we have four nations, Keaton. So we'll hit
All
around the
four of them.
news, all four of the nations in the world. So we're going to, of course, start with around the hockey, and then we'll get into all of that. Keaton, what's been happening?
So not a lot. We got a trade by the Canucks, which is kind of crazy. They're staying busy. They trade D-man Mark Friedman to the Predators for future considerations.
Yes.
No one knows just yet what the Canucks will receive, but we'll see.
It seemed like
could be another
essentially
locker room rife. Who knows?
No, so essentially he was kind of an extra defenseman. He's a veteran, and so the Preds are probably bringing him in to be like a positive locker room leader rather than the opposite.
Nice, dude. But I kind of figure that the Canucks look at this season as like kind of a turning point because they were pretty solid last year. They just want to be able to mix it up, especially with shipping a bunch of players already. But yeah, moving on, we've got Louis Eriksson. He retired.
Yes.
Pretty crazy. He last played in, I believe it was the 21-22 season. And yeah, he's just been leaving that door open up until now. So finally called it quits. And yeah, played a pretty good stint with the Stars, played with the Boston Bruins, Canucks, and Arizona Coyotes.
Most notably, he was a part of the trade that brought back Tyler Seguin to Dallas. So appreciate your service, Louis.
What a beast. But yeah, over 1,050 games, he had 613 points. So pretty solid. Not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, midway through his career, ends up getting traded and ends up being with a bunch of different teams. But yeah, hopefully he finds solace in being retired. So yeah, who knows?
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Not many things have happened. I know a few injuries have prevented some players from entering the Four Nations. I believe Quinn Hughes got replaced. Sidney Crosby does end up getting to play.
I do think the Quinn Hughes one is a little precautionary as well, being that Vancouver does expect to go into the playoffs. So go ahead and rest him.
I don't know about that, man. I think they're going to be fighting for that last wild card spot, and it might be a tough one, especially with the Flames being decent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's going to be a little tighter, but I do know that
I don't think they're a shoe-in. That's all I mean.
All right. But yeah, no, I think again, like that Quinn, they have the last wild card spot right now. They do have to fight off the Flames, but being that you're going to be fighting against someone the rest of the season. You're going to want your best players healthy, so it makes sense that Quinn Hughes is resting during this period.
My headphones suck.
Nice. And then, I mean, there have been a few other replacements. Another, I don't know about a big one, but let's see. Where to go? Crap. Pietrangelo, of course, Pietrangelo was replaced on Team Canada, replaced with Drew Doughty from the Kings. So, I mean, that's
He's been playing pretty much all season.
Yeah, and of course, and we talked about this in past episodes, but of course, Miro is hurt for a while, so he, of course, was replaced. Another former Dallas star, Yanni Hakanpää, he's been replaced. I mean, looking at that Finnish defense, it's definitely unrefined to say the least. They did bring in a guy who's played, 10 games this year in the NHL, but the majority in the AHL. So, yeesh.
Yeah, I mean, he got called up, so it couldn't be that bad. But, yeah, kind of a weird... I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that there's many Finnish players from at least the NHL that could just attribute to their teams right away. but
Yeah,
I don't
and I
know.
mean, I would say, and
Especially
they do
dominated
have.
by U.S. and Canada with so many players. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's a massive blow though, losing two of your better defensemen, knowing that
Oh, for
the
sure.
offense is coming at you from Canada, the U.S., Sweden. I mean, it's gonna. Oh my
Pretty
God, dude.
disappointing.
Yeah, and for Sweden, they had a few replacements as well. William Karlsson will not be playing, so they went ahead and replaced him with Ricard Raquel from Pittsburgh. I'm not gonna pretend like I know the most about the guy, but I've made a few bets on him in the past few weeks as far as
Nice,
shots
dude.
on goal, and he'd be throwing them at the net. He's been covering, so we'll see how that goes for Sweden. They also replaced Jacob Markstrom, their goalie, with Samuel Ersson from Philadelphia, and I mean that is a thin goalie line outside of Olmark. They've Gustafson as a backup, but yeah, I don't know about Ersson like that.
Yeah, especially coming from the Flyers and how abysmal their season has been. Uh, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, not a lot has happened this week. Like I mentioned, Red Wings also only played one game and unfortunately couldn't continue their 7 game win streak into 8. We take a loss to the Lightning, take a pretty bad one. I believe it was 6-3. They did get an empty netter, so it was a little bit more, egregious than it should have been. But yeah, within 3 minutes, Alex Lyon got pulled and Talbot had to finish the game, which I honestly don't really agree with that particular. Maybe give him the rest of the period to work it out. Because the goals scored on him, one of them was just a bounce in. I mean, what? There's not much you could really do about it. And then another one was he had gotten it, and then it like bounced out of his hand and into the goalie. Just had enough power to get past his hand, which was unfortunate. But I mean, what can you really do?
Yeah.
I mean, he could definitely have saved it. He could have saved both, but it's just one of those things. It's just happenstance at that point. But either way, gets pulled within 3 minutes, and Talbot couldn't really do much better because I believe by the end of that first period, it was 4-1. So wasn't looking too great. I know the second period we kind of came back. I believe it was 4-3 by the end of that, but that third period just kind of killed us. So either way, would be nice to be able to rest everybody, but I know Lucas Raymond is playing for the Swedes and Larkin is playing for US, so they definitely still get to get play time. Not too much. I know they're probably going to be in like the third or fourth lines, but either way, they're still pretty great players, and hopefully they can stay off the injury list.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. On the Dallas Stars front, we had two games. Still finishing off that California trip where we started last week with the Ducks, and then we went ahead and played the Kings and Sharks these last 7 days. And that Kings game, well, both games, man. Why within the first like 20 seconds of the game are we allowing goals so quickly? The Kings score
Gosh.
in their first possession. Like we don't even touch the puck. I forget the exact players who were involved in the goal, but he like shovels it. It wasn't a great angle, but shovels it towards Ottinger. Ottinger deflects it, and then the rebound is scooped up. It's a wide open net. They score to open up that game. Stars, I would say, showed some good resiliency as far as we scored next, the Kings would score, then we score, then the Kings would score, then we would score, and then at one point we finally take a lead in the third period, make it 4-4. Kings score, force OT, we go to a shootout, and then the Kings get it done. I mean, we didn't score once in OT, so I mean that was not great, of course. But I will say the players that I like seeing getting hot right now, and hopefully they're able to continue that on the other side of the break. Matt Duchene has 2 goals and an assist in that Kings game. Maverick Bork scored a goal, so it's good to see Bork. A young player. Had some high hopes on him, and he hasn't lived up to it quite yet. But he scores in this game, scores against the Sharks. Duchene as well in that Sharks game. He scores 2 goals, so just running really high right now. which is good to see. I also like seeing what Thomas Harley's doing as far as forcing the issue. He's putting pucks on net in dangerous areas where they can be tipped or it just goes straight up in, like against the Sharks when he scored a goal. There was not really a great angle there. It was near side. He's skating to his left, and there's just like a tight window right above the shoulder neck area of the goalie. And he just, puts it in right there. Is a great, great, accurate shot from a guy who's more known for just slapping it as hard as he can. But yeah, in that Sharks game, again, they open up the scoring in the first 10 seconds, which, good God, I think in the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the game, it was already 2-1. It was just a quick, fast paced game. This time though, we were up 2-1, I believe, if I'm not. No, I'm wrong. It was 2-1 them. And then we go on we go on a massive run where we score 7 unanswered, which was insane to see. In the third period, there was a point where 3 goals were scored in the 63-second window. So, it was all offense, no defense. I think teams were kind of ready for the break, I guess. Most of the players, of course, are not going to Four Nations. So I think they're kind of mentally checked out. But in that game too, like I said, Duchesne 2 goals. You have Liam Bischel getting 2 assists, which was really nice. What's his name? Marchment had a goal in that game that I really, really loved. It was just effort play, shoves a guy off the puck. And I remember last podcast I mentioned this was the case with, God dang, who was it? Or no, I'm sorry. I think I may be mistaken last week's episode, but Marchment, again, tough play, fighting against that wall. Could have been maybe called for interference, but it wasn't. So it's good to see him getting back in the action, scoring goals. Who didn't score that game against the Sharks? But yeah, so that's there's only 2 games to discuss, and like we said, next week it's all Four Nations. So or this weekend, next week it's Four Nations. So there aren't going to be NHL games. We updated no other nations. We're going to make some predictions on our games for Four Nations, but as we always do, Keaton, we review what we did last week. We made some picks against the spread, and unfortunately, it's a story as old as time. I get screwed in games that I should not. I go 3-6. Keaton, you went 5-4. So you're currently at 55-50. I'm at 47-58. No bueno. But yeah, no picks against the spreads this week. We're going straight into the Four Nations tournament. We're going to start with the first game, of course, being Canada-Sweden tomorrow night. Keaton, it's not against the spread, but who are you thinking is winning that one?
I'm pretty sure Canada has this one. I'm pretty sure they're going to get a regulation win just because at least with this particular tournament, they've got the regulation wins, the OT wins, the OT losses, and a regulation loss or an OT loss with an empty net. So they've got a little bit of a different point system, but I think Canada is definitely going to get 3 points in this one.
Yeah, I think Canada's just so disgustingly stacked. Their lines are just stupid good.
Unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be boiled down to U.S. versus Canada, but, we'll see what happens.
That'll definitely be reflected in our picks. I'm also going with a regulation win for Canada. I think that team's just way too stacked. Moving on, Thursday, It's U.S. versus Finland. Keaton, who do you have in that one?
I've got the U.S. taking a regulation win against Finland. The aforementioned defender, who's played mostly for the AHL, is probably not going to do very much. So,
yeah,
unfortunately, the U.S. is just stacked.
They're stacked, man. And then again, like we were mentioning, Finland is just really thin,
gutted.
Yeah, so I don't think that one is. I don't think that's going to end any other way than a regulation win for the U.S. as well. Moving on, we have Finland versus Sweden. Keaton, how's that one going to go down?
I think Sweden's getting a regulation win in this one. Aforementioned Finland is gutted, and I don't know. I think I'm impartial to your boy Lucas Raymond, so we'll see what he can do. And probably like the fourth, fifth line or whatever it is. Maybe he's in the third. Who knows? He's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I kind of feel bad for Finland right now, man. They, yeah, regulation win
I
for
mean, they could prove us wrong. No big
absolutely.
deal.
I kind of hope they do because I'm like extremely down on them. I almost wish they picked another country to participate in the tournament right now. But
Yeah,
that
unfortunately, Russia can't participate.
Hey, but that being said, man, we've seen many games this year where we expect, let's say, like it's Ducks versus the Stars or whatever. I expect the Stars to always win that one, and then it's the Ducks who end up taking it. So I'm not gonna
You never know which day what happens.
for sure. That same day, though, Saturday, U.S. versus Canada. What do you think about that one?
I think the U.S. is going to take that one in regulation. Don't know why, but I think our goaltenders are a little bit better, and I don't know. Defense wins championships at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not going to agree with that. I'm going to go with a Canadian overtime win in that one. I think both rosters are extremely stacked, but I think the advantage. Well, I think so. I think Canada's attack is a lot better. I think Hellebuck is the reason that game goes to overtime, and then I'll say that Canada ends up pushing one through for the win there. Moving on, we have Canada and Finland. Keaton, I think I have an idea of where you're going, but who you got?
I think Finland will take a regulation loss.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought you had some real stones on you there.
No, unfortunately, it does not look bright for Finland.
Yeah. Same thing. Regulation win for Canada for every reason we've named before. Same day, Sweden and the U.S. play a game. Who you got in that one?
I think the U.S. take an overtime win. Be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, I have a feeling because Sweden may believe they have a chance going into they're getting into that championship game. I think they're going to be going insane balls to the wall. And the U.S., I'm going to predict some complacency there. And I'll say that Sweden wins in a shootout.
Nice dog.
Yeah. We'll see what happens there. And you said U.S. regulation win?
No, OT win.
OT win, sorry. Yeah, I'm not feeling extremely confident on that, but hey, let's have some fun. I don't want to just pick the U.S. and Canada for everything. But that being said, based on our predictions, the championship game would then be the U.S. versus Canada. Who do you think is going to win that one?
I think the U.S. will probably win this one. It all really depends on the day, but I think everyone's just going to be hyped up.
Is that going to be a regulation victory?
I mean, I don't think it matters at the end of the day, but I think we'll win in overtime, maybe like a 17-round shootout, and we finally win.
Okay. I'm going, actually, same thing. U.S. Well, I'm not going shootout, though. I'm going U.S. overtime win. I think, my God, like I mentioned, the goalie situation for the U.S. is just so freaking deep compared to everyone else. So I think that keeps you around in any game. And I think by then, by your fourth game, you're going to build up some camaraderie there. Your lines are going to be more refined. So I think that while I took Canada in OT in their first meeting, I am going USA in OT win in their next one.
Nice dog.
Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting. It's their first time doing this tournament. Of course, it kind of replaces the Olympics and all that stuff. So
in a sense,
and so yeah, I'm very interested to see how it goes. God, I hope Finland's more competitive than what we're expecting. But oh God,
Yeah, I hope so too. And
Yeah.
the NHL doesn't start back up until Saturday the 22nd. So,
Yep. So we will see how that goes. Keaton, we always in our episodes with some prize picks bets. Last week, I did not get it correct when I don't even want to dive into it. I'm just disappointed by everyone involved. This week, I will go ahead and make my picks. It's going to be, of course, the games are tomorrow and Thursday. So if the lines change or whatever, hey, don't come at us. But I'm going Austin Matthews under 3.5 shots on goal. I think there's just too many players on the team. I think there's going to be uh, just I think it'll be a more balanced attack than what you're used to with Austin Matthews in Toronto. But for my other person I'm going with his teammate, William Nylander. Although he's not his teammate when it comes to the Four Nations, he'll be playing for Sweden. And I think that because Nylander is such a
what a Swede.
star, I think that they're going to rely on him. I think he's going to have longer shifts than the average player on that team. So I'm taking him over 19.25 seconds time on ice, or 19.75. I don't like how I phrase that.
Nice, dude. It's 19 and 3/4.
Yeah, I don't
but,
know what's wrong with me.
It's all right, man. But last week, my prize picks cashed. It was pretty dope. We got Dylan Strome having 3 shots on goal out of the allotted 1.5. He definitely covered there. And Matthews getting 14 out of 11 face-off wins. So it was a pretty solid outing, getting that 2 for 2. And I'm going to get another 2 for 2 this time with William Nylander with more than 3 shots on goal. Like Rudy mentioned, he's probably going to be a key player for the Swedish team. So he's probably just going to be doing a lot. And Nathan MacKinnon has a 3.5 shots on goal. And with how stacked that team is, I think he's not going to get that many shots on goal. I think he's going to be looking to be more assistive than scoring himself. So I think he's definitely going to be passing instead of shooting.
Yeah, actually, so on that note, real quick, I was listening to the DLLS podcast, and one of the guys, Craig Ludwig, had mentioned that one potential problem that could occur is that you have so many stars on the roster that you kind of overpass. Where, like he was specifically talking about on their power play, they have 5 guys who are just absolute studs, and so then you end up trying to pass to find the perfect shot, and that doesn't always come along. And so, honestly, that might contribute as well to the lower amount of shots on goal for Nathan MacKinnon in your bet, and I think maybe even for Matthews in my bet. So we will see how that goes. Hopefully, we're both in the green next week.
We'll see.
Yep, for sure. Keaton, is there anything that forgot to mention?
No, I think that should be it. And like I mentioned, we should resume in 11 days with the NHL, and probably not another recording before then. But we'll have a couple of games to go over because I know the Red Wings and Stars, I think, play back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. So,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, y'all take it easy. Peace.